Welcome to our last interview for the day for the Game Changers. And I am so excited, Mireya, I got it right,
Mireya, yes.
Mireya. I have a granddaughter named Rhea. So
Yes,
Mireya, that's pretty, it's very pretty.
thank you.
Um, Last interview of the day for celebrating the number one international bestseller for The Game Changer Volume 6 and these
Yay.
inspirational stories that changed lives. And just a time to celebrate and to honor those of you that were really took it upon yourselves to share your stories in amazing ways. Oh, good. Our next guest is arriving, and I'm going to put him
Yay.
right in. Yay, you made it. How are you?
I am awesome.
Good. Happy you made it. Would you prefer
Happy
to
to be here.
be called Zynul or Dr. Z?
Let's go with Dr. Z. It has a nice ring to it.
Yeah, I like it.
Like Dr. Oz.
Oz. Awesome. Well, welcome. I'm glad you were able to make it. I was wondering.
Yeah, it's always at the last moment something starts to give you technical difficulty.
Yeah, we've had one person couldn't make it on today because of technical difficulty. She was disappointed, and I hope I can get her in on another interview.
Now mine was just my headphones refused to connect to my computer, so I had to remove it and then put it back on. It was like stupid. It was ridiculous
It worked
nonsense.
out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm never overwhelmed.
Well, I really enjoyed both of your chapters, and as we start the conversation today, we'll start with you, Dr. Z, and I'm going to read your quote, and then I want to talk about why you chose that quote and how it pertains to your chapter. So your quote says, "Hearing the opinion of people who knew practically nothing about me had a profound impact that made me feel even more worthless. Growing my opinion of myself out of what I know about me built my worth to recognize the positive impact I know I have on people today." How beautiful. So why did you created this quote yourself, which is very fascinating. Um, why did you create it, and how does that apply to the rest of your chapter, to your chapter?
Um, it's created because of judgment. We say to ourselves, we're always our worst enemies. We're always the ones who are our worst critics. But we never realize that other people can have a significant impact on us also. And throughout my career, I always got bogged down about what people thought of me and how I was doing in my career. And interestingly, it wasn't myself alone. It was many other doctors who I know in my field who felt the same way. And I realized I had to stop listening to them. I really had to start listening to my inner voice and my inner strength and really stop being looking at the negative and looking at what I've learned and what I've done. And that's what led me to that quote is that I really had to block the naysayers. I had to block the voices, right? And that included my own voice. And then once I learned to do that, I was able to get past a lot of the hurdles and really jump headfirst into what I love doing.
Beautiful. How beautiful is that? How about you, from Maria? Your quote says, "There is no way in this life that you will ever fully experience the entire grandeur of the Grand Canyon or God, but you sure can enjoy your spot and the view." How fun. And the Grand Canyon's pretty magnificent, isn't it?
It is. It is. You
You
know what?
created your own quote too.
Yes.
Very
But you know
cool.
what's interesting, as I am aware what Dr. Z mentioned, is it's very similar in the concept. It's our language, our words that we hear growing up, that we say to ourselves. And because of the environment that I grew up in, I grew up with really like a negative self image as well, with lack of awareness. And that carried out into my adult life. And when I had the opportunity, God aligned it for me, is when I went to the Grand Canyon and had that moment of full surrender and pretty much like collapsed emotionally in that space. I realized like, oh my gosh, people have their own journey, their own experience, like I'm having my own. And as I did look into the Grand Canyon, I figured it out kind of for myself. Like, you know what? People have their own experiences, their own journeys. I don't know what other people are experiencing. They don't understand what I've been through. So I get to have that compassion first for myself, and then awareness and compassion for other people, with the understanding that I don't know what giant Grand Canyon in life they have been through or are still in, coming out of, or going down into in their own life journey. And I might get to meet them at a certain intersection in their life journey, just like they're meeting me. And just to have that compassion and awareness was for me the turning point in my life, and how I was able to shift from then to now, where I am now, and continuing to grow in that space as well.
Beautiful. It kind of puts me in mind of Iman's words, that you never know what somebody's gone through, so always be kind. you know and
Yes.
we can sometimes, in the craziness of life, can be a little more, maybe sometimes, judgmental of things that other people do. We really don't know what they've gone through, and it's up to us to always have that kindness and extend to them, just as we would want the same for us.
Yeah. Yeah. I truly believe that.
So, Maria, um, you're writing your chapter. What did it do for you to write this chapter?
Well, first it made me cry. I was sharing with you, Becky, because I realized that there's going to be these life-changing experiences that we've had where we wonder, like, what else is there within me? What else? Why am I here on this earth? What's happening? And to take those painful experiences and really turn it around and make something positive out of it, out of your life, but also be an inspiration to other people, sometimes unintentionally. Like, we don't set out to go, okay, I went through something bad and I'm going to turn it around. It just happens organically. And as I mentioned, as I met Iman and my other friends on this journey and other people, they inspire me. I inspire them. We inspire each other to really look at our hardships as challenges, as growth opportunities, and why not use them to transform other people, to be there for other people's transformations, and using our painful stories, because a lot of these stories, or all of these stories, come from a place of pain, deep pain, and then growth or rebirth from those experiences.
I always feel like something magical happens when we put pen to paper, because we don't have, you have to give a lot of thought, and sometimes it helps just totally change the perception of something that happened in your life, when you have to really think about how to put those words on paper.
Yes, yeah, and it's different when you're saying it than when you're trying to get it into writing. So that's one thing I learned from this experience. Like, oh my gosh, I've said this story a few times, but I've never written it.
Right.
There's something, that transformation, or even from that writing experience as well.
Awesome. And for you, Dr. Z, how did writing um, your story impact you?
It was interesting. I was never a good writer. So writing something and actually having it published was a scary, scary movement for me. I'm thinking, okay, is my grammar okay? Is my spelling okay? Thank God for Word. It corrected everything for me. um, um, I mean, and it was interesting. I never thought of myself as having physician burnouts until I was thinking of the story I wanted to write. And then I started looking deeper at my own life and my own career, and realized that there was a period of time there that I was just totally checked out. I wasn't at the extreme of it like my other colleagues, like some of my colleagues who've taken their own lives because of it.
Mhm.
But I was there where I was just going to work. There was no involvement. It was just a paycheck. It was really just to pay the bills, and then I can go on my way. And turning that around and meeting Iman. which is a big turning point for me. I mean, it started just before him, but then seeing him, I saw him on a podcast for the first time. I listened to him on a podcast, and I was like, "Who's this guy?" So I went and I looked at his course. I was like, "Okay, this fits into what I want to do and how I want to help people," and that just opened up the world of entrepreneurship to me, of what are the possibilities, and not just entrepreneurship. I mean, writing. I never thought I would write something ever. And so far, I've written 4 things since this book. I've actually written in one of the medical journals for the last 3 for editorial for the medical journal, for the Caribbean Medical Journal, that is, right? Never thought I would do that, right? I am now writing proposals to people. I'm trying to develop sports medicine again. I'm writing a proposal for them. Never thought I'd write a proposal, right? So entrepreneurship and just letting yourself go and explore unknown realms has been a true eye-opener. And you never think that you can do so much, but all it does is just you get out your own way. Just do it.
Right. It's a process too, because, for me, when I first wrote my book a number of years ago, and it was really being raw and vulnerable, and you don't realize just what kind of impact you can make, especially on yourself. And for me, sharing my story was like it just released it. It didn't have the same hold over me that it has than it did before, because before I didn't talk about what had happened to me because it was too painful. And so I did with my family, but not to anyone else, So when you start to be authentic and vulnerable and really search within, it really starts to make a difference. And I think that people need to hear our stories. So, Dr. Z, what would you like for people that read your chapter? What would you hope that they would walk away with?
Hope. Understand that, and this is for all people, doctors, nurses especially, people in the medical profession, because we're a massively empathic group of people. We got into the profession because of our empathy. Medical school did a good job of beating it out of us because of the overwhelming amount of work you have to do. And then you have to regain that empathy. And it's something that takes practice doing. But in regaining that empathy, understand you have to be empathic to yourself, right? You have to allow yourself, if a patient dies, or you miss a diagnosis, or you miss something, anything, it shouldn't encroach your entire world. It shouldn't make you feel that you have, like, for instance, while I was in the emergency department, I felt that every time a patient died on me, when I was a resuscitation, I felt like a piece of my soul went with them. And it took me a while to start rebuilding that soul and saying, no, they're not taking me. They're on their way. This is their time, right? It has been decided for them. It's not my decision to make, right? And I had to give that up. And then I would say to doctors, let go. Find a hobby. Find something you love. What is it as a child you love doing? And then just do it, right? So I started woodworking, and it's something I've always loved to do, and I love building things, and I started it just because I needed a hobby.
Need a release from the routine.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really changes everything when you can find something that you just totally, whether it's gardening or sewing or some kind of other craft or camping, anything to break the pattern so that your mind can just kind of relax and you grow in a different way. Yeah.
Definitely.
Have time to play. And for you, Maria, what do you hope somebody gains from reading your chapter?
I think a few things. And number one is that I hope people will remember that they are their first priority. Kind of, again, going in line with Dr. Z, which is why I was excited that we were going to get interviewed together. Because it's very similar concepts, right? In that, for me, it's self-care, it's prioritizing ourselves. And that entails a lot of things. And hobbies certainly are one of those things that are feeding your soul or feeding your creativity, doing helping you release. And prioritizing yourself in self-care in general is kind of those basic things is, are we sleeping well? Are we eating well? Are we exercising? How is our self-talk? Just the basics, right? And finding those things that will nourish our body, our container, but also finding those things that are going to nourish our soul, because those obviously those things are together. And when one of those or two of those are out of alignment, it's when we start to almost like shrivel, our soul and our body start to shrivel. And it's the experience that I went through. Like I said, some people may be in those experiences now, especially with this pandemic that we're still in. And self care usually gets pushed to the side because we are caregivers in general. A lot of us are caregivers,
Mhm.
right? And everybody goes first. But if we reverse the order and release the guilt of prioritizing ourselves, then other people don't have to worry about us. We're okay, right? It's again putting on our own oxygen mask first. And then we can show up fully rejuvenated, re energized to be the doctors and nurses and mothers and business owners and bring the fullness of who we are in our service that we provide, but we're not neglecting ourselves. So I hope people will remember to release the guilt, prioritize their self care themselves, and stop with that self neglect and the negative self talk.
Very,
I'm gonna
very
add,
important. Beautiful.
I'm gonna add a little one to that. Be your own superhero.
And I like that one. So both of you are taking the course creation uh, training from Iman. What,
Yes.
what is your course, Dr. Z?
Mine is called Defeat Diabetes. Now, don't get caught up in the name. It's not just about diabetes. I am on a mission to convert the world of obesity and diabetes that's plaguing our world today. We are in a bigger pandemic than we knew, right? Where more than half of the world's population is overweight or obese, right? And what that means is that you are pre-diabetic or you are at risk of developing diabetes. So why my course is called Defeat Diabetes is because I'm fighting against anybody getting diabetes, and if you have it, helping you to get rid of it, right? So I am fighting really hard. So my course is all about teaching you how to achieve your healthiest weight by reducing one thing, and that's just carbohydrates. And that's all. And everything I build my course around is just about carbohydrates. And if I can reduce your carbohydrates, and I'm not talking about keto diet or Mediterranean diet or anything, I am talking about just one thing, just carbohydrates. If I can
Keep it
get you down to
simple.
30%, boom, right? You become your own superhero.
How beautiful. That's amazing. And that it takes these kind of voices, all of our voices and our different stories, our different the way we serve the world to really make it wonderful. And Maria, what's your course about?
So my course is Be Your First Priority, which is geared mostly towards professional women. Again, because we tend to be caregivers, not just in the workplace, but also at home and in the society and community. And what I like to focus on is helping people understand and remember who they are and why, what their purpose is. And then from that, really structure habits that will support their self care um, weekly, daily. I like to say if you make a great day, you can string them together, make a great week, a great month, a great year, and a great life. And
Great
that's
life.
what I feel like I've done. So, being your first priority in my course, that's what we learn is creating those sustainable habits and then not beating ourselves down when we miss a day or two or three, and then just keep going and keep back on and moving in the direction of self-care every day.
Awesome. So, what was the best thing about being participating in the Game Changer? What's been the best thing for you?
For me, it has been getting to know myself better, getting to meet friends like Dr. Z and other of my friends as colleagues in this journey together, and really finally like cracking open those superpowers that I know are within me, and really sharing them with the world. Anybody who needs them, we all need compassion and kindness every day. And if we can be sustainable within myself, if I can be sustainable within myself, then I can show up and give that compassion and kindness to others.
Awesome. Beautiful. I think it's pretty amazing to be able to, when you do a book like this, to have that collaboration and know that everybody is having to dig pretty deep
Yes.
and really draw out and be authentic and real and vulnerable and share with the world. How about for you, Dr. Z?
I wrote a book. What's better than that? I'm in a book. Oh
You're
my
in a
goodness,
book.
that is still blowing my mind. So yeah, but
Agree.
it's been a phenomenal experience. It's been one. I don't think I can replace it. Like I saw the Taj Mahal once, and I tell people what you see in a picture is nothing compared to the actual thing. Even standing at the entrance to the Taj Mahal before you walk up to it doesn't do justice to when you actually walk up to it and look up. That
Wow.
experience, it was like when they say it's one of the seven wonders of the world, it really blew my mind. It was like, okay, I'm standing in front of this immense building and I don't know what it is about it, but I can't stop staring.
It's
So
so
this book,
awe-inspiring.
yeah, this book is like that. It's like I can't wait to see the Great Wall of China and the pyramids. So
That's awesome. Wonderful. Well, I want to congratulate both of you and all the other authors. There's 20 authors in this book, and we've got to interview just about everybody. Few couldn't make it, but what a fun time. And it's been such a pleasure to get to even have these conversations all throughout today, because I've read your stories, all of that, but hearing your voices and really being able to connect this way is pretty awesome. Congratulations, and truly enjoy and celebrate this day, because we are #1 international bestsellers.
thank you so much, Becky.
Uh,
And Maria,
Dr. Z.
All right. Thank you. And I hope you two have a wonderful rest of your day, and enjoy and just revel and be proud of what you've brought to the world.
thank you.
Thank you. All right. Bye-bye.